It's that time of the day again, YouTube. But this time, it's gonna be something different. Today, I am ending the fight. So, a little bit of background on this situation. Me and this person by the way is from Spain, met 2 years ago. And we got into a disagreement over our political beliefs. I am a capitalist, and I am also mostly a liberal Republican. This person is a National Socialist, more commonly known as, well, you know what I mean, Germany during the Second World War. Now, what this person has done, he has made ideological and religious threats against the United States government, and YouTube is allowing him to get away with this. Now, I can't stop YouTube, but I certainly can call this guy out for it. I have already done another video on this same person, and if you want to watch it, I will put a link in the description. So, in this comment, this person starts to talk about the 2008 financial crisis, or commonly known as the Great Recession. Now, what he said is true here, but what he is forgetting is that in capitalist societies, there is a system in place that has to be balanced. The rich and the middle class and the poor class have to be balanced. And when one suffers, we all suffer. In the case of the 2008 financial crisis, a bunch of rich people got bankrupt and the entire middle and lower class felt it. That's the point I'm trying to make. Now, this person has claimed, without showing any evidence I might add, that I said we should cut payment to our working class, which isn't true. Our working class gets enough payment as it is. The problem is we cannot raise that. As shown by this graph here, the real median household income, or standard of living in the United States, has grown considerably since the end of the Cold War. Now, the problem is that corporations in the United States are paying just enough so that not only they can get by, but their workers can get by. If we raise the minimum wage from $7 to $15, the standard of living will go up, not down. This has been proven time and time again, which will lead to thousands of layoffs as corporations will not be able to sustain themselves and pay their workers, which will lead to, as I hate to say it, automation. Also, as this person has said, the life expectancy in Cuba supposedly is higher than that of the United States. As you can see by this chart here, the United States and Cuba are at an equal. There is no such thing as a decimal years in your age, meaning they are at an equal and now one has gone above the other. But since you are a communist, you will believe that they have a higher life expectancy and thus have a better quality of life. According to this right here, Cuba isn't even in the top 200 in quality of life. That is what not ranked means. They are ranked so bad in quality of life that they don't make the cut. To disprove you even further, the United States ranked 17th in the HDI index, which, compared to 205 countries, 17th is not that bad. And considering that this ranking is above many European countries, including your own, Spain. You also seem to talk about large amounts of inequality in the United States, when according to this map, especially in the eastern parts of Europe, and even in the West, there is an extreme amount of Islamophobia, and there is systematic hatred in place against Muslims who are trying to flee the Middle East, which, by the way, the Middle East is in a situation that you Europeans created when you signed the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Now we are going to get into the racist part of this argument. As you can see by this screenshot I took, and I hope you guys take note of this person is completely denouncing what the Spanish Empire did to the Aztec and Inca empires in Central and South America. Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortez was responsible for a large genocide in Central and South America, leading to the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of people. The fact that you denounced this as a Spanish person not only shows that you are not only an imperialist, which you claim not to be, but you also support the ideology of expansionist powers. The Inca Empire and Aztec empires never declared war against the Spanish Empire. They simply resisted the Spanish takeover of their land, and as a result, the Spanish Empire genocided them out. And to clarify the record here, when you compare this to the Americans and our natives, you seem to forget that our natives here in the United States were extremely hostile people. If you look up some of the wars that the United States fought, such as the Seminole Wars and the time we fought a war for the Midwest, it was because of the native people in the United States were being extremely hostile towards the American explorers, often burning down American villages and executing American settlers. The Aztec and Inca empires did none of this, and yet you still genocided them out. And the fact that you still support this, over 300, now 400 years later, that's something to marvel at. Now we get into the scenario about this person calling the United States an illegitimate government. I find that kind of funny, considering you are from Spain, which supported the creation of Israel, which has violated every treaty of its existence, and even in 1997 launched an offensive against United Nations peacekeepers and is killing children in Palestine for resisting their occupation of Palestine. To disprove even further that the United States controls these countries, look at these rankings in GDP. Most of them are less than $1 billion in GDP. This is extremely poor. The United States does not have the time nor the funds to fix all these nations' economies. Not only that, in a system that requires its people and government to be balanced out, this system would not work in an economy that is less than $1 billion. So, with these kinds of rankings, what other choices do we have? If we can't install a system where the economy and the people have to be balanced, we have no other choice but to install a dictatorship or some other form of government. And with those rankings, they're also too weak to defend from themselves against a foreign attack. Now, here comes the most offensive part of this video. And after this, I think I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to leave it for YouTube to decide. This person likes to cyberbully me because I like trains. So what I did to disprove him is I lashed him out on the European rail system and how it doesn't make any money and how the European Union uses it as a propaganda tool. In this argument, I used the Ishida train crash as an example. For information about this train crash, this was all caused by a broken wheel rim, and 101 people died in this crash, and over 100 were injured. And this is out of a passenger count of 207. The problem is, thanks to European law, only people can be tried, and not corporations. Oh, and you're telling me that's not a part of inequality, if only people can be tried and not corporations? Thanks to this, the railroad company that operates the Intercity Express trains, like the one you see here, aka Deutsche Bahn, was never charged with any form of negligent homicide in the accident. Instead, 3 engineers of the train company and 1 engineer of the wheel design that broke to cause this crash were charged with negligent homicide. Once again, thanks to European law, where a verdict cannot be reached and a compromise can be created instead, Deutsche Bahn, the railroad operator, didn't have to pay a dime in medical bills and didn't have to pay a dime in damages for causing the accident. Instead, they only paid the 207 people who were affected by the accident 1,300 euros of 2002 currency status, roughly $1,000 US. Paying only $1,000 to each victim. That is a joke. I don't know if you have ever seen a train crash, but they look like war zones. According to a victim of the accident at Ishida, he claimed that the things he saw in Ishida were worse than the entirety of the Second World War. And you're telling me you support the company being completely non-negligible and only paying $1,000 US to the victims is okay. This shows the type of person you are. An arrogant, selfish, national socialist. That is what you are. With this in mind, I am leaving this argument here. It is up to you now, YouTube, to make the right decision.